Here are 10 rumored Apple products that we could see at its Wonderlust event, but probably won't. Welcome everybody to AppleInsider. It is Andrew here, and with Apple's Wonderlust event fast approaching, here are 10 Apple products that have been rumored that we could see pop up. But honestly, we probably won't. Let's go ahead and get into them. Starting out with one that has a real possibility of actually showing up, and that is an updated MagSafe Duo. MagSafe Duo is Apple's first wireless charger, but there are a few issues with it now that it's a few years old. For example, the camera bump of the iPhone 13 Pro and 14 Pro don't clear the edge of the charger. It hits it and kind of keeps it up at a weird angle and doesn't let it sit straight. It also doesn't support fast charging on Apple Watch. There are now going to be 3 generations of Apple Watch that support fast charging, and MagSafe Duo doesn't support any of them. Finally, it's got lightning on the back. With Apple moving to USB-C, it makes sense that the MagSafe Duo could see a transition to USB-C as well. Will Apple move it to USB-C? Will they introduce some new features? Or will they just kill off the product completely? Next up is the Apple Car, or iCar. This project has been bouncing around for years. We've seen different people leading the project, mass exodus of employees, new hires, and a pile of patents. It seems clear that Apple is working on some sort of car-related project, but at this point, we don't even know what it really is. Is Apple building an entire car? Are they going to partner with the existing car manufacturer? Or are they going to create their own autonomous software that they want to install in other cars? At this point, we don't know. We could see it at the Wonderlust event, but we won't. Maybe in a couple more years. What about a second generation version of the AirPods Max? This is definitely overdue. These don't even support some of the new features coming to AirPods Pro with iOS 17. This could use an update in many ways, including supporting lossless audio, some of these new adaptive transparency features that Apple is introducing, and we could really use a new case that's not this one. I wouldn't mind having a power button on these guys as well. Plus, again, Apple could make the transition to USB-C. I don't know how well AirPods Max are actually selling, if it's worth Apple investing in a second generation version, but if they do, we could possibly see it. We know there are going to be a few peripheral updates, but there hasn't been many clear rumors on what the future holds for AirPods Max. It's been a long time since Apple updated its iMac. Could we see a new 24-inch iMac at the event? This seems a little unlikely, as Apple doesn't usually include Mac-specific features during its September keynote. This is usually just reserved for iPhones, Apple Watches, and other ancillary projects. I don't think we're going to see an iMac here, but seriously, this thing is way overdue. It's still running an M1 processor, and that's all you can really get in there. So I would not be surprised if we did see an M2 version, but there's also a potential M3 version on the horizon. I won't count this as one of my 10 products, but yeah, I'm still expecting that we'll see a larger iMac at some point in the future. Maybe October, maybe 2024, but seriously, Apple killed off that 27-inch model. It'd be nice to see a new one come around. What about an M3 MacBook Air? This is definitely another one that has some potential to see in the near term, but I don't think at the October Wonderlust event. Apple did just release an M2 version of the 50-inch MacBook Air, brand new product, just in June. I'd be shocked if Apple introduced an M2 version in June and then an M3 version here in September. Apple could do something kind of weird and introduce like an M3 version of the 13-inch MacBook Air and then introduce an M3 version of the 15-inch in early 2024 or something. Maybe they'll keep both around. I don't know, but it's in a little bit of a weird spot for Apple between the 13 and the 15-inch being introduced at different price points or at different times when we have the M3 chip coming down the pike very soon. So I don't know what Apple's going to do here, but we're definitely going to see an M3 version sooner rather than later. What about an even bigger iPad Pro? Currently, Apple has a 12.9-inch iPad Pro, but it sounds like it is currently or had been working on an even larger version. We've heard a bunch of different rumors, so it's not certain where Apple actually is in this development cycle and what will actually come to market and not get killed off along the way. In fact, it sounded like Apple was very close to releasing a 14.1-inch iPad Pro in 2023. It was supposed to debut like the second half or later in this year, but that may have gotten killed off. We also heard last year that Apple was working on a 16-inch iPad Pro, which would also be super interesting. But again, we haven't heard much since last year. So is Apple still working on a bigger iPad Pro? We don't know, but it's a possibility. Are we going to get an AirPods Pro 3? Apple came out with the AirPods Pro 2 quite a while ago, but it's still adding new features. It doesn't seem likely that we're going to get a third generation of AirPods Pro quite yet. We could still see an updated version of regular AirPods, or what we're hearing about is an AirPods Lite. This is like a $99 set of AirPods below the regular AirPods third generation and below the second generation AirPods Pro. These would live at that bottom end of the lineup, include some base features, automatic device switching, and just kind of like the essentials without kind of the touch sensitivity and noise cancellation and other things that come with the higher end version of these headphones. This is still something that I think is in the works, and it could make sense to introduce these at an Apple event. Will it happen? I don't know. Okay, here's a product that I desperately hope that Apple actually does, and that's introduce a smart display. This is something that the competition is doing and Apple is not, and it's not really clear why. Apple seems to have the operating system necessary. You can combine a version of tvOS with a HomePod and boom, you've got yourself a smart display that acts as a smart home hub. It'll be able to act as a Siri interface so you can see conversions or watch things, watch your music, see lyrics, all this stuff on this central display in your home. I love this idea. I really like, the HomePods. I've got a couple of them here on the desk, and it would just be great to have like a big HomePod with a screen built in, and boom, this is going to my kitchen. Easy. Tomorrow. It'll be there tomorrow if this was introduced by Apple. And I just don't get why Apple is not doing something like this. It seems like low-hanging fruit for Apple to do. So fingers crossed that we do see this product. Whether or not it makes it out here in September, I doubt it. Since we're talking about smart home technology, what about an updated Apple TV? There's been rumors that Apple has been working on a new version of Apple TV, and there's some different things that are kind of going on here. We've heard that Apple could actually build in a speaker, so it could act as almost like a center channel alongside two HomePods for satellite speakers. We've heard it could also potentially include a camera. Apple did just add FaceTime support to tvOS 17, so maybe instead of having to use your phone and awkwardly position it in your living room, your Apple TV could have a camera built in, and especially with center stage, following you around, it makes a lot of sense. So maybe we'll see that updated Apple TV with a speaker, camera, or both coming out later this year. But again, there's been no rumors that saying this product is imminent. I think Apple's going to have a few surprises in store for us at its Wonderlust event, but some things I think we're going to have to wait a little while for. But what do you guys think? Do you think we're going to see a surprise at the Wonderlust event, or you think we're sticking with iPhones and Apple Watches? In the meantime, stay tuned to Apple Insider for in-depth coverage on all of Apple's new announcements.